Hi, today we're going to be making live streaming overlays. Basically, we're going to be making a starting soon screen, which you can just change the text to make a be right back or stream ending scene. And then we're going to make an intermission scene. This is basically your just chatting scene with your camera and stuff. Couple of disclaimers. First of all, you do not need Photoshop to have access to Photoshop or Photoshop files. Today I'm gonna be using Photoshop, but you don't need Photoshop to have access to anything that I'm doing because you can do all of that in Photopea.com, okay? Photopea.com, the absolute exact same thing as Photoshop. The only difference is that one is in your web browser, so open up Chrome, open up Safari, whatever you're using, and follow along. The shortcuts are the same. Just make sure you make it, press F11 to make it full screen, and then the shortcuts will really be the same. No difference whatsoever. So every time I hear, oh, I didn't click on this video because the title says Photoshop, well, you're missing out. You're missing out on a lot of information that don't necessarily have to do with Photoshop. If I say put a square here and put a circle there, you can do that in whatever software you're using, but you're like, I'm not gonna click on it because it says Photoshop and I don't have Photoshop. I can't put squares and circles in whatever software I'm using. Anyways, let's move on. Second of all, whatever we create today is going to be available, but it's not going to be free. But it doesn't matter because I'm teaching you how to make it step by step. Just follow along, make it for yourself. You don't have to buy it. If you want to pay to win or if you want to skip the learning part of learning a valuable skill or marketable skill, that's on you. Okay, that's enough sass for an intro. Let's get right to it. Can you tell this video is not sponsored? Let's go. All right, since what we're creating here is going to be the starting soon screen, you want your canvas style or just the normal aspect ratio of 16:9. In this case, we're gonna make it 1080p. That is 1920 by 1080. First thing I'd like to do is press Ctrl-I. It turns the background, it inverts the color basically of whatever you have selected. And basically we have a vague idea. If I take the rectangle tool here, we know that we're gonna have maybe an image here. Maybe it's gonna say starting soon over there. At the bottom, I would love to have like a little labels bar. Maybe up top, we might have social media, or underneath the text, we're gonna have a social media thing. Okay, so let's begin. And I have kind of a design in mind, and it's basically very sharp corners. I'm sorry if there's a lot of noise. My windows are open because it's really hot outside. Let's go ahead and pick the triangle tool. And let's create some triangles. All right, I'm gonna hold shift in order to have proportional size. I'm gonna do this, okay, nice. Now by default, it's giving me the outline. This is where you can change it, or if you don't see it, you can see it up there. There's fill, there's stroke. Fill is the middle, stroke is the outline basically. So we're gonna fill this in white for now. We're gonna get rid of the outline by clicking on this. I believe it's an X in Photopea. I'm gonna right click on this. Actually, this doesn't work. I'm gonna click the move tool, Control T or Control Alt T if you're not full screen in Photopea, or if you're full screen, then it's also Control T on Photopea. Anyways, I'm not gonna be mentioning Photopea anymore. You get the point, okay? It's the same thing, just use it. All right, boom, we have our rectangle. Basically, I right click and I click like flip vertical. And then I'm gonna hold Alt on my keyboard with the move tool selected. I'm gonna drag and that duplicates something. I can Control T again, transform. To transform the thing, Control T or Control Alt T. You get the point, hold Alt, click, drag, and I'm gonna make this kind of proportional. Yeah, I think that's nice-ish. No, actually, I don't like it. Control T again. There you go. And maybe I want this to be, oh, there we go. Maybe like that. I'm just playing around with shapes, as you can tell. And until I find something that I like. Okay, now I have a bunch of layers of triangles. Let's keep it maybe something like this. Okay, nice. Then I'm going to create a rectangle and put it at the bottom for the labels bar. I'm going to find my rectangle tool. Click, hold on the shape tool until you find rectangle. And then I'm gonna click, drag. Nice. Now we don't want rounded edges, so I'm gonna go ahead and drag that down. Or up top here, you can also just set this to 0 before you create the rectangle to have 0 rounded edges. In this case, I'm only gonna be using the stroke, so I'm gonna put this white. It's not gonna be white, but we're gonna get rid of the fill just to have a clear idea. I'm gonna select the move tool, press Ctrl A on my keyboard, and then I'm going to center this, align horizontal center. As you can see, now I know it's smack dab in the center. Press Ctrl D to deselect. Maybe I should put, I think I have a, right? And then for the top, I want like some sort of separation. So what I'm going to do is click and hold on the shape tool, and I'm going to pick the line tool, and I'm going to pick like the amount of pixels up top. Let's go with 3 pixels. We want that to be very visible. I would go something much thinner, but you know, thumbnail got to look good. So think about that. Hold shift in order to draw like a straight line and just put it in the middle-ish. It will tell you when you pass that middle part. But if you miss it right there, for example, but if you miss it, it's not a huge deal because you can Control A again, press V to go back to the move tool, and then center horizontally, right? Nice. I want to go back with my triangles. I can select all of them. So I click on the top one, hold shift, click on the bottom one, press Control G in order to group them. And I can call this one triangles. And what I'm going to do is select all of them again. And I'm going to press U to go back to my shape tool. And I don't want those to be actually filled. So let's do the opposite of what we did before. And maybe here you want to start like thinking about the color that you want. We're going to go with some sort of blue. I know you guys really, really love the blue. So let's go with that kind of blue. Nice. Okay. That's pretty good. Not bad at all. And we're going to add the same color to the bottom one. Again, this is the stroke and it's going to record basically the previous color that you picked and this one also. What I'm going to do is select my background just because if you create anything, it's going to be on top of it. So I'm going to go back to my rectangle tool and I'm going to create a background. There's other ways to create a background. I just like having control of the shapes. And then for the fill, I'm going to go ahead and more blue, a deeper blue, if you will, and then put it slightly towards the black. A little too bright. We can go back, maybe slightly towards purple. And there we go. Nice. Now, what we can do is start to add details. And one thing I like to do is duplicate something over and over again. For example, we have the triangles group. I can hold Alt, click and drag. It's going to duplicate it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to merge the group. That means that they're all in one layer now and they're just pixels. They're not shapes anymore. And I can just drag this down, right? And I can rotate them. If you want like small increments, you can hold shift and I can be like, hey, okay, this is part of the background now. Can make it smaller. Nice, not bad. And I can hold Alt on my keyboard and click and drag to duplicate. We've seen this before. You should know this by now. Joking, kind of, not really joking. Anyways, let's put them in the corners. Let's modify this one, make it small, do this, do that. How about one over there? It doesn't matter where exactly you place them. We're just adding details, like random details for it to look kind of cool, right? Then we see all the triangles copy. That's the name of the thing. We can right click and merge them if we have to. If you want to still move them individually, you don't want to do that, but I'm going to merge them. This is kind of destructive graphic design, but you don't necessarily want to do that. If you feel like they're too thin, basically you can double them, select them, merge layer. I think that looks good. Okay, so this is the easy button. What you're gonna do is go to a website where you can find some Creative Commons photos. And in here, I just typed the word hood because I wanted a hooded figure. And I found this one, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna use it. I'm gonna right click, copy image, but you can download it in any size. I just know that I don't want it to be that huge because I'm gonna fit it somewhere here. So we're gonna do this and we're gonna put it all the way up top for now. I'm gonna pick any of the selection tools. I'm gonna go with the magic wand tool and I'm gonna click select subject. And with the selection that it made around it, I'm going to go ahead and create a mask from it. Boom, it is masked. Basically, I no longer have the background, right? Completely transparent. Now we just need to make it fit into one of the triangles. I'm going to press V to go back to my move tool. That's the wrong layer. Control Z, pick the right one, and I'm going to place it somewhere like this. Okay. And now I basically want it to be not only behind the triangles, so grab it and put it underneath the triangles, but I also want it to be affected by the triangles. So what I'm going to do is expand the triangles. I'm going to hold Control on my keyboard and I'm going to click on the icon, like the shape icon here, right? The layer thumbnail, if you will. And I'm going to pick the right ones. We don't really need that one, so that's fine. So I'm just going to hold click. As you can see, it's selected this one. Now I'm going to press Control and Shift to add additional selections and just continue on the other ones. You see this? Nice. Basically, what I can do is invert the selection and basically erase the parts that I don't want, right? Because I want it to be kind of inside of the triangles, partially at least. But what I'm going to do is another technique is to add an additional mask. And I'm going to put the one layer in a group. Control G, put it in a group, and then create a mask. Boom. Now it's in a mask, right? As you can see, it's inside the triangles, which is nice. I can move it around if I want to, but I don't want to. And then I'm going to go select that mask that we created. This is what it looks like. And I'm just going to paint back in the head part, right? Hardness, I'm going to want that to be all the way up. And I'm in white. So black and white. Black hides, white reveals. This is the principle of mask. And I'm just going to paint that back in just like that. Now I would love to have some additional blue hues basically to that image. So I'm going to go at the bottom and I'm going to add an adjustment layer and I'm going to go to photo filter and I'm going to find something that is like cyan. I think that looks good. And I'm going to play around with this value until it feels like it matches this a little bit better. We can also go with color and immediately pick the right color. It's not picking because I have the mask selected. So let's go back, pick that one thing, click on color, and now there it is. Nice. Okay, so before, after, I think that's pretty cool. We're gonna add some additional details a little bit later. Maybe lower the opacity on this one and that one and keep this one at 100%. Maybe we definitely don't want that line of the triangle to go over it. So it looks like we're gonna have to add a mask to the triangle too. So triangle group up there, remember? Let's add a mask to that. And let's just paint it out. Or we can hold Control on our keyboard and click on the mask that we have for this thing. This is why it's cool to work with mask, because you always have access to the selection. So now all we have to do is go ahead and paint this out. But we have white selected right there. We're going to switch foreground and background color. And then we're going to do that. Boom. There it is. Control D. Pretty nice. If you want to do the lazy graphic designer technique, we're going to duplicate that, which is this guy basically. I'm going to hold Alt, click, drag, that duplicates it. And I'm going to press Control T to transform, remember? And then I'm going to just drag up. It's still inside the group. That's why it's limited right now, but we're going to take it outside the group like this. Nice. Cool. Now what I can do is basically lower the opacity by a lot. And then blur it. Blur, Gaussian blur. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur, right? Let's blur it a little bit more. Not too bad. Okay, let's add our text. We want to find the perfect font. So that's probably going to take a while. I'm going to skip it, of course. But we want this one to say starting soon. Right? And then we want to format it. I have the character tab here. If you don't see it, you can go to window and then pick character and you'll see this. And from there, I can set this to auto. That's like the height. I can have the paragraphs here. I want it to be like this. Click outside, slightly outside, and drag to bring it like that. Bring this up actually, and then find the font that you want. Bars. Again, the style is sharp, so try to go for something kind of sharp. Oh, I have this one called Fortnite. Let's use it. It's not great. It's not the most visible font, but it definitely matches our theme. So let's click Move Tool. I'm gonna press Control T and I'm gonna drag this up just like that. And I think that is pretty nice. Now, what I'm gonna do is the starting soon selected. I'm gonna go ahead and click on Effects this time, and I'm gonna add a stroke. The stroke is gonna be basically an outline, but since it's not a shape, it's gonna be different, right? So stroke, let's pick that color, of course, because that's our main color. And we want the stroke to be 3 pixels. Nice, full opacity. Okay, bring this a little bit more here, Control T. Let's play around with that top bar here. We can even name it top bar. Nice. Well, what I'm gonna do is create a mask, right? So it's created that mask, full white, because white reveal, black hides. We're gonna Control I to invert that mask. So it's gonna hide everything, but then you're gonna go on your gradient tool. It's right here. Maybe you're gonna see the bucket, click and hold gradient tool or press G. And then up top here, you can see I have my percentages. If you don't have them, Control R, it appears. You can right click to set it to whatever you want, including percent. So you're gonna look at that bar up top here and you're gonna kind of eyeball it. I forgot that up here. You need to make sure that this is reflected. So it's not just one side to the other, it's gonna reflect it. And you want white to be your foreground color. So you want to make sure that it goes from one color to transparent. All right. Basically what we're creating is this. I'm going to do this and boom. There it is. That's simple. If I Alt and click on the mask, this is what we created. And that's basically the effect that we want. We kind of want the same effect on the rectangle at the bottom. So instead of redoing this, I'm going to hold Alt, click on the mask, drag, drop it on top of it, right? It's not bad. What I can do is unlink them, click on the mask, Control T, and basically play around with the mask a little bit better. I'm holding Alt and Shift, and it's not displaying it right now, but it's going to show when I do this. Nice. Okay, cool. Because I don't want to see the sides, really. All right. Move tool. I'm going to move this up a little bit. This is going to be my labels bar. Oh, it's still disconnected, so it's actually moving the mask. I'm going to connect them again. Boop. Putting the little link. And now I can move them all together. That is pretty nice. Here we're gonna add some icons that you can just find on Google. I personally have a stock of like logos and icons and stuff. Let's say we're making this for an affiliate. We would want diamond. That's gonna be like the bits because you want to show like recent cheerer. Don't worry, the quality is not great on it. We would want to show a crown for top donations. We would want a star for subs or a heart for follows, right? When it comes to the star, I can just go to my shape tool, click hold, go to custom shape tool, and then find a star there, just like that. And then you can create it, hold shift to make it proportional like that. Press enter. I'm just gonna center them because I want to resize them kind of together. You want them to be approximately the same size. Let's resize the diamond real quick. I'm holding Alt to drag from the middle. And about like that. Nice. Okay, now I can shift, select all of them and put them super small. Control plus to zoom in. Bring that down. Didn't mean to rotate there. Press, I'm holding spacebar when I'm using the hand tool like this. So we want this to be very small. You can make it bigger if you're creating it, of course. Boom. I usually like cheerer first. So diamond's gonna be first. And then I'm gonna have the star, like recent sub. And then I'll have, I was gonna call it the hat. The crown. The crown is black right now. So what we can do is click on effects and go to color overlay and change the color to white. I think I'm gonna keep it white. Yeah, I'm gonna keep them white. Nice. And I'm gonna hold Alt on my keyboard. And I'm going to duplicate color overlay by clicking and dragging while holding Alt. And I'm going to put it on the diamond. Boop. And now it's also white. My star is looking weird. Anyways, okay, not too bad. Now you just want to align them a little bit. Hold shift to make sure that they're not moving away in any other axis. Holding shift right now. So you know the text is going to be here and then here and then here. So get that crown over there. All right, that's not bad. If you do want to have social media, I think, yeah, the top will probably work, or you can put them on top of the text here, but let's put them up top. Again, I have a folder for that. You can find them transparent background on Google Images. Social media, we have Twitter. Let's put Instagram, I guess. Let's put YouTube. The most important ones. You can put whatever you want. You can replace them. The way that I'm doing them, I'm just dragging and dropping and pressing enter to confirm. Then I'm selecting them all since they're the same size. Control T. And then dragging them to size. In this case, I do want them to be like pretty small, not bad. Then I can decide if I want to change the color. I think I'll also put them white. In this case, you put them in order of importance. If you're mostly a YouTuber, you would put YouTube first. Then let's put Instagram. If you have a TikTok, you can put TikTok too. Select them all. Drag down, put them in the middle, just like that. This doesn't look bad, but I still would like them to be white. So I'm gonna hold Alt, click on the effects here. I know it's the color overlay. Drag, drop, drag, drop, drag, drop while holding Alt. That's how you duplicate stuff, okay? If I was lazy, I could call it a day, but we can add some more cool stuff to it. So let's go back to our triangles. By the way, this is like decoration, so we can probably rename this Deco. Triangles. I actually want to hold control and select some of them, and then I'm gonna go manually reduce the opacity on some of those, right? And that's gonna be on my actual dude layer and its mask. All right, the mask is right now, you know, it's full transparency here. I can press B to go back to my brush. A white reveals, we want to go black, but we want the opacity of our brush to be lower, right? And we want the brush to be bigger. In this case, I wanted to do this. I can hold Alt and click to see how much it's affecting it and do it again. I don't have to do this with B, by the way. I can totally do this with just the paint bucket tool. The paint bucket tool. There you go. Opacity like that. And okay, not bad. Now I'm going to select the other one, bottom here, and again. So it's not too bad. Control D. I would like that triangle outline to also be semi-transparent. It's the first one. There it is. And I can lower the opacity on top of the layers list right there. It doesn't feel consistent, but I'm going to duplicate it and add some more with the same transparency, basically. I'm going to hold Alt, click, drag up, press V to get the move tool. And I'm going to do that, for example, using the arrows to place it perfectly. Nice. Hold Alt, click drag to duplicate again. Control T, right click, flip vertical, and let's place it. And I'm eyeballing all that. Like I could be precise, but I don't want to. Okay, one thing I want to do is collapse my groups to make sure that everything is more visible. Collapse my effects also. We can group up the socials, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Control G to group them. We can call this one social. Oops. Top bar starting soon. We can group the labels bar. Labels. Nice. I'm going to click on rectangle, which is technically our background, and I'm going to click new layer. And here I just want to paint a little bit with my brush. I'm going to press B, and I want the hardness to be 0. I want a very soft brush. I also want a quite big brush. Yeah, let's go with this for now. And we want to pick that color, which is pure white, I believe. And we want to click opacity 15%, maybe 10%. And let's click a little bit. Since the character is backlit, it doesn't make sense for it to not be backlit here. So it'll look a little more natural. Oh, I forgot about the whole transparency thing. So it's showing under the rest. Actually, I don't like the bottom one. What is going on there? Oh, I think my photo filter is affected by something else. Let's find that photo filter. Okay, there it is. Why is it doing this? Oh, because it's not actually. It's affected by that. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. What we're going to do is hold Alt in between the photo filter and the layer, and we're going to click once. And basically what that does is that it clips it to that layer. So it only shows on what's underneath it. You see that little arrow here. What we also want is more blue, definitely. So I'm going to color pick this blue without selecting a mask. I just clicked away. Boom. Nice. Go back to our basically background layer and maybe create another one. To make sure, I'm going to set this to 1000. Had a little voice crack there. And we're going to lower this even more. The opacity of the brush, 6% is pretty nice. And we're just going to go in here and add more blue to really sell that color scheme. I'm not done with the triangles. I love them so much. I'm going to collapse this group. I'm going to pick the triangles group here. I'm going to hold Alt, click drag. You know the deal by now, right? I'm going to right click. I'm going to right click on the mask, delete it, right click, merge them. Nice. Control T, transform them here. That way I can do this. Don't worry if that doesn't look great. Do not worry. And what that allows me to do is this, press enter. Again, easy button for graphic designers. Go to blur, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, add as much as you want. We're going to keep it still visible. And then we're going to lower the opacity by a lot. Nice. I'm not completely satisfied with the backlight here. So what I'm going to do is go back to it. This is the first backlight, and we're going to add some more with my brush, just a little bit lower, white. Oh, the reason it's being weird is because the blue is on top of it. Still though, bump up the opacity. I just realized it is just the way this is cut. Okay, there's some blue. I see. Okay, that's fine. All right. So if we turn this on, take the white glow, rename it by double clicking on the name, and then blue glow. Put the white glow on top. Okay. This is the character. So we're going to name this. We're going to expand this, and then I'm going to pick this mask that I created, right? What I can do is manually come in and get that mask to be a little tighter, right? So I can go with a black brush, put it 100%, or I can, with the mask selected, I can Control L, which will bring up the levels, and I can drag the handle to basically crush the darker values. And that will basically bring up, the problem is that we have transparency. As you can see, my transparent parts are being deleted and it's barely doing what I wanted to do. So it looks like we're going to have to do it manually. Click OK. Still with the layer selected, let's have a smaller brush, maybe not 100% opacity. With black brush selected, let's go ahead and just manually blend this in a bit better. Don't have to do it everywhere, just the parts where you know, it's supposed to be pure white. If there's pure white behind it, then of course it needs to have a little bit of transparency to it. All right, you see how it blends in a little bit better? Now the white glow, I can even add some mauve, maybe not that much. And that's pretty much it. To be honest, if you want to change the color easily, for example, you can add an adjustment layer here that is hue and saturation and then play with the hue. Oh, you wanted it red? Boom, it's red now. Since we stayed consistent with one single color, you can make it whatever color you want. Okay, with the hue saturation thing. Renaming the blurred triangles to triangles blurry, making sure that my monitor is not deceiving me basically. And there it is, pretty much. If you don't know how to add labels, check out my video. I think I show you how to do it with Stream Elements. You can just create it. If you just want to export the labels, you can also do that. But basically when you're done, I should save this PSD file. And that's going to be the starting soon screen. I can also export it as PNG, just export, quick export as PNG. Boom, there it is. Control S to save your project. All right, let me add some text to the social so that if you do decide to download this, you'll be able to just double click and then change them. So YouTube is get level. Want to change the font for this one. You want it to be visible. There's no reason why this one should be extravagant. Let's go regular old Arial. Make it bold. 0 for the tracking. Nice. And you want that to be pretty small. Actually, let's go with uppercase and a 4.5 for the size. Want it kind of centered. I'm going to hold Alt to duplicate it. Hold Shift to keep it in line. Double click on the T. Click the move tool to get out of the text editing. Hold Alt, do the same thing. Double click on the T. Now, just for people who are downloading the template, I would want actually the text to be aligned to the left so that when you modify it, you don't have to move it again. And we can move the YouTube a little closer so it doesn't look too awkward. And then we can move all of this text into our group called social, because that's what it is. Nice. That way, if we want to do this, we can do all of that. Okay, decent. Maybe you want to color the text so it doesn't stand out too much. Go back to character, click on this and pick the color. I don't like it. Maybe I want all my socials to be semi-transparent. Yeah, not bad. All right, so we can add a bunch of more stuff that I would probably do, but we want to move fast here. Let's say we want to create the intermission screen now. What I'm going to do is basically duplicate this whole project. I'm going to press Ctrl-Shift-S to save as, and I'm just going to call this one intermission. And once you have one design, the rest is pretty easy, right? Call this one intermission. Turn off the text because we don't need the text. We're probably going to have chat on the right side here. So first, let's create our screen for our webcam. Go to your rectangle tool, click once, and then we're going to put the aspect ratio of your webcam. In my case, I usually go full screen 1080p. Nice. Move tool. Let's move it. You can center it if you want. Control T. And now make sure that it's proportional. By the way, it's not stretching. Now you can accurately position it. Usually you want it underneath the social here, but still accessible. Something like that. Use the arrows to place it precisely. So I'm going to put it kind of in the middle here of the social bar and the social media bar. I want it to be a little bit to the left, not too much. And what I can do is duplicate it, hold Alt, and then Shift to just slide it out. And we kind of want the same distance between here and here. I can press M to make sure of that, create a mask. Boom, and then move that mask and then realize, oh, wow, they're nowhere near. So I can drag one of the rulers on the side and just place it where I want it to be. Control D to deselect, press V, move tool, hold Shift, move it again. Nice. Control T, and this time we do want to stretch it. Hold Shift, I believe, while dragging the side, and there you go. And now you want to you choose whatever distance you want here. Of course, if you want something above the chat, like a little thing to still show the lobby of the game or whatever you're going to do, you can also create that, but we're not going to do that today. Instead, I'm going to select both of those rectangles, press U to bring up our shape tools, and then click on the stroke and give it that color that we like so much. Nice. This is going to be like our cam frame, and this is going to be our chat frame. So right now, the character and the triangles, this is all going to be obscured. It's not going to appear, but you could move them to just make them show up somewhere else if you want to. For example, if you want like the chat to see a little bit of it, or you can put it upside down or something like that. Or actually, let's do a little thing here. I'm going to duplicate it, holding Alt, of course. Control T, flip vertical, and I want it. Nice. One thing that we forgot to move is the white glow. We can put a little bit of it here. And I'm going to duplicate it, of course. Hold Alt, duplicate, and I'm going to put a lot of it there. What I'm going to do is also Control T, hold Alt to drag from the middle. And I want that white glow to be way smaller, but still visible nonetheless. All right, not too bad. Maybe the blue glow, we can do something. Oh, never mind. We can't do anything with that because it is beyond our boundaries. And technically, and I do say technically, we're done. What I'm going to do is put everything in a group. So pretty much everything. You can unlock the background if you want to be able to put it in the group also. everything except for the cam frame. You could put the chat frame in there too. It doesn't matter. We're gonna create a mask for the camera. So cam frame is the only thing that needs to be outside of the group. Control G, put them in a group. Hold Control and click on the layer thumbnail for the cam frame here, right? And then we're gonna click create a mask. Nice. Now we did the opposite of what we want. We're gonna press Control I to invert the mask. And there it is. Congrats, you made a pretty cool looking intermission screen. You can export. File, export, PNG, intermission. Whoop, there it is. Everything is inside here. The font that I'm using is called Photopea. I will put a link in the product description. I'll also put a link in the description if I remember, but you can find it on The Font. This website right there is where I get all of my fonts, thefont.com. So Photopea, and it's right there. So once again, to prove to you that you don't need Photoshop, you're gonna go to photopea.com and we're gonna say, for example, open from computer, right? Let's say that you downloaded the files. We're gonna double click here and we're gonna go get the starting soon screen. It's not gonna have the font, but I'm gonna show you how to get the font. Oh, would you look at that? Isn't that wonderful? Just online, you have this. Actually, I have a weird plugin for the color. Let me fix that. All right, so for the font, what you want to do is go to the text tool and then go here and click load font, load font, and then just find the font. In my case, I have so many. I can't find the font on my computer. Let's re-download it, I guess. I'm gonna extract it. Then we're gonna go again. Okay, font, load font, and go find it wherever you extracted it. Right there, click open. And it says load Photopea TTF. Also, next time you use the editor, manage it and edit whatever. And there it is. So if you wanna type be right back, boom, you made a be right back scene. Okay. You wanna type something like stream ending. Boom, you made a stream ending. And of course, if you want to make offline, that's it. You did it. And again, it's the same thing. You want to export as PNG. You can do that too with Photopea. And this is free. This is free. You just get ads, but it's free. Want to change the colors as I showed you, adjustment layer. It's the same thing, same shortcuts. If Control T is being weird, you can just make it full screen or Control Alt T, because Control T will open up a new tab on Chrome. All right, let me close this. Anyways, if you do not know how to add your chat, how to use overlays in general, I have videos on that. Look at my Stream Elements tutorials, for example, or even my Streamlabs tutorials for that. Make sure that you know for sure how to add your chat here, add the labels and all that before paying for this if you want to download it, right? One thing that I don't like is when people buy something that they don't know how to use yet, and then they ask the person who sold it to them to teach them. I just sell you the car. I can't teach you how to drive. Well, I do teach you how to drive. Just watch my videos. Watch them first. Also, I have free stuff. Download the free stuff. If you don't know how, if you're not sure of yourself yet, don't invest in money in something you don't know if you even can use yet. Anyways, get a level teaching common sense. And I believe that's everything. It'll be downloadable over at gumroad.com/getlevel. Again, highly affordable, minimum price for now, at least. Okay, grab it cheap while it's cheap. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Other than that, you can catch me streaming on Twitch, and I will see you next time. Go out there, make me proud. Get level out.